In this video, we'll be checking out Animate by Master in the Mix. Animate is a powerful tool, essentially featuring 4 main modes of operation, designed to help you with various different mixing and mastering scenarios. So we'll check out in this video how we can use it to enhance some of the sounds in this mix. So let's start by taking a look at the punch mode on offer in Animate. I solo up this group of drums here. It's just my kick drum, claps and hi-hat bussed together, and I've got an instance of Animate on the bus channel here. So the punch mode is designed to help boost transients in your material. It's got a few extra features that enhance the power of the transient processing. So in punch mode here, we can bring down the threshold to select at what point the audio will begin to get processed, or what portion of the audio is going to get processed by this punch mode. Then we can bring up the amount slider here to apply the processing. We also have the sensitivity control down here that will increase the punch. We have a filter, so we can select which frequencies are processed with this transient boost. So either direct it towards the lows or the tops. And the sections where the frequency range where it's glowing purple is suggested frequency areas to apply the processing to. We get quite a handy level compensation tool as well here. So obviously we're boosting the level right up there by applying that processing. And it's telling us to be able to effectively A/B. We can now drag this slider down to where this pointer has gone to. We also get attack and release controls, and we can process only the mids or only the sides. We get some quite nice presets as well, so let's look at one of these. Let's have a look at kick click. And so we can use this to boost some of the punch and click on the kick drum and the hi-hat sounds. Have you noticed I'd loaded up this preset? It's selected to only process the mids here. It's not processing any of the side signal, it's only processing the mid signal. And it's directing the processing to the upper mids and tops of our drums. Let's now try A/B in this. Can boost some of this amount slider up. It's definitely bringing the drums to life, helping them pop through the mix a little bit more. Now let's take a look at the Ignite mode on Animate. And I'm going to process this bass sound using the Ignite mode. I find this is a really good mode for bringing out a bit more aggression or presence in a lot of deep subby bass sounds. So it's using a rich harmonic distortion, and we process in the same way as we would any of the other modes. So it can bring down the threshold and then start pushing up the amount. Straight away, this output control, the pointer's dropped down there. So we're not adding too much gain to the signal, we can drop this output down. Tweak the attack and release. Or even drive the input. Now let's try and A/B this. And with these sort of basses, it's a really nice way of helping it cut through the mix. If I put it with a couple of the other sounds. Bypass. Adds a nice bit of aggression and a little bit more of tone, a little bit more tone in the mid-range, which helps these sort of bass sounds really cut through the mix. Okay, so now we'll check out the expand mode on Animate. This is an upwards expander, so it's going to take the signals above the threshold and increase the gain, so effectively the opposite of compression. So I was going to take a look at using the expand mode to process these percussion sounds. So whilst an upwards expander might be useful in the mastering setting to dial a bit more dynamic range when you have an overly compressed mix, I've actually found it quite useful working with perk and tops loops to isolate the sounds that you want to keep, the louder sounds, and get rid of some of the... and reduce the clutter in some of these sounds. So this loop, it's quite a busy loop, but the snares in there are quite nice, and the hi-hats. So we could isolate some of them using this upwards expander. So bring the threshold down. And so the signal that exceeds the threshold, it's going to make it louder once we boost this ratio and the mount slider. So can turn the amount up, the amount of processing, and also the ratio, so the amount of processing applied once we exceed the threshold. And we're boosting quite a lot of signal now, so let's drop this down. So effectively what we're doing is just boosting the level of the snares and dropping the level of everything else at the same time by dropping its output down. We can change the attack and release, make the processing a little bit more snappy. We also have a hard or soft knee as well, so we can tighten things up a little bit here. We could also filter out the processing if we wanted to just direct it towards that snare specifically. Now let's A and B. So we've made that loop a lot more snappy and got rid of a lot of the splash on some of the other drum sounds. So the final mode of Animate to check out is the grow mode, and this is used for stereo imaging, so applying stereo width to sounds. And I thought I'd use this on the master output and use it to boost up the side signal in the top end. So boost a bit of high frequency on the side signal just to expand the overall width of this mix. So let's bring down the threshold. Quite low, so we're just processing the whole signal really. Boost up the amount. And obviously as soon as it goes past 100% it sounds a little bit odd. But we can use the filtering here to process this. We'll direct this just to the kind of mids and tops, and let's direct it to the side signal only. So the mid signal has remained unprocessed here. Sharpen up the attack and have a bit more release. And we can use this width control to increase or reduce the amount of width applied. And that's AB. So it's opening out some of those drum sounds, especially the hi-hats and the top loops that we have in the track. And also when the synth filter opens, it's adding a bit of width to that synth and just giving a bit more space in the mix. So there's Animate, the 4 modes of Animate and how we can use them in various different mixing and mastering scenarios. It's a really powerful plugin and it's available now at ADSR Sound, so go check it out.